teacher, but Ben has a lot of fun equipment. And in our preschool program, that's part of our services, that they have gym services every day. And you can see that he has a rock wall over there that's lots of fun. It gives a zip line. He has a lot of ways to get the kids active and moving. So we have a wonderful volunteer here that paints everything in sight. So I always tell people, don't stand still, because Jeannie will paint you. An accessible stage, so we can do productions and most of people who are different than them. So at a very young age, they're going to accept each other's differences. And you know, when you go to Wegmans or you ride the bus, you're going to see somebody who walks differently or talks differently. And at a very young age, they're learning to, you know, accept those differences and understand those differences and just be friends with those kids. So a typical classroom for us would be 12 kids. There's 6 kids with disabilities and 6 kids without disabilities. And of course that fluctuates if there's so this is again a special ed teacher, 2 classroom aides. There's an occupational therapist, a physical therapist, a speech pathologist assigned into the classroom, the adaptive PE teacher, a social worker, a music therapist, and a nurse, all assigned to the program. So again, you know, you might have a typically developing child who might need some support with their speech or their physical therapy, because a lot of, you know, 3-year-olds might need that, and they're getting that here because they work as a team together. So they don't just segregate the kids out that have special needs. So last year, we'll go check that out. Let me just tell you that the children's program is a program called EuroPeds. It's a European Pediatric Physical Therapy program. And we are one of 100 clinics in the United States that offers this. And this is kind of showing you how we work as an agency. We had some parents who found out about EuroPeds and really wanted their children or their child to be part of that. And so we investigated it, and we sent some of our therapists out to get trained, and now we offer it here. It's a very intense physical therapy program. Instead of being with their therapist for a half hour or 45 minutes like a typical therapy session, the kids come for 4-hour blocks, 4 days in a row, and a session might be 3 weeks, so it's very intense at home. And you know, like you can remove the left side or the right side so that it looks like it would be at their house. So when the therapist is working with them, they can actually work with what they would be looking at home. So that's the way they used to. So out of that research, we developed this outdoor classroom. So the whole community got involved in this, and let me just tell you that this was a lot of fun to work on. You'll see a path that the kids can walk on with tall grasses, logs that they can balance. There's a hill there that to us looks like a hill, to them it looks like a mountain. All of the things on here are not commercialized things. They're things that, so let me tell you about the playhouse. We got a group from the Habitat for Humanity to come and help us build that playhouse. Part of my job here is resources, community resources. So they would say, Tina, can you find me somebody to donate cedar shingles for the house that we're building? And I called a company and said, you know, here's the picture, I need cedar shingles. And he said, cedar? I could give you cedar, but I have something that would look better. You know, I called the landscaper because I wanted to have this ramped up. And instead of hydro-seeding it in, he said, hydro-seeding, I could, but I want a sod. You know, the community went one step further than we even dreamed that they would, and this is what came out of it. It's so much fun. So there's a gentleman named Bob Horn. He worked at Kodak, and he retired from Kodak, never had children. He approached us to volunteer. He wanted to work in one of the classrooms. We were not in this building here. We were at another building, and we put him in a classroom. And in the classroom, there was a child who loved bubbles and didn't have the physical ability to blow bubbles. So Bob made this machine that the child could hit with his elbow, and it spun around and made bubbles. Out of that, this is what we got. We saw talent in Bob, and Bob came to us, and he volunteered for 24 years, 4 days a week, after he already retired. He used to say to his wife, thanks for sharing him with us, and she'd say, thanks for taking him. Until he passed away. He was with us 4 days a week. He recruited a lot of other Kodak engineers to come in and help us. So the guys that volunteer are up on this wall right here, and I put these pictures up here for a reason, because sometimes people will call me and say, Tina, who should I ask to do this? And I'll say, oh, ask Henry. And they'll say, which one's Henry? The old guy with the glasses. And they'll say, they're all old guys with glasses. So I put the pictures up there so we know who they are. But this is a really important thing because people ask me this question a lot. If you live in our residential homes, you do not have to come to our day program. And if you come to our day program, you don't have to live in our residential homes. So somebody could live at home with their parents or live in another agency's residential home, but this might be the spot that they want for day habilitation. And then they learn how to put that to paper. So we do some art shows, and we once a year we'll have a craft show in this building where the community comes in. They sell their stuff, but we also have vendors that come in and any of the money raised goes to this program here. So here's the seniors room, and they're pretty non-structured and a lot of fun. They go out into the seniors programs out in the community. They have a lot of speakers come in sometimes, and just things that they're interested in. They can go through the special ed, the school district until 18 or 21, and then this is a transition program. So what happens next? What's available for them? So they might be doing vocational training, they might be working on their resumes, learning how to interview, those kind of things in there. So that's what you see going on in that room. We're almost done. He'll be 92 next month. He had a child, he was one of the original founders, a child who came here. His child since passed, and so did his wife. But Mr. Augustine still volunteers with us. He still comes in to volunteer with us. So he just moved into a new home, and I'm going to go visit him today for lunch. He's a great guy. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, wonderful man. So those are, like I said, people who've made a good